so multiple whatsoever. So that is the simply straightforward thing. Okay, let's come back here. Look at 100,000 invested in year 2000. Currently is standing at 3 million, 2.993 million. That is 100,000 once off. Okay, that is 100,000 once off. And for how many years? For more like 23 years. It's not too bad. Ubanoseke wa own more than 5 in your lifetime. Is more than 5 different cars in your lifetime, or 3 different cars. If you paid it up, then you have to change and buy another one and so forth. So mhlawumbe suspende like 3 million emotweni. Just to make an example. Angibuki kakhulu ayisekho lezi eziwu4 uhamba nje ngene ekhona nje yami. I'm making an example ekutheni iphise nani ukube mhlawumbe 100,000 nje kulama payment nje sonke siwenzile khona nje sawufaka nje ngala ngabe 3 million ikhona nyala. Angibuki kakhulu. That is where you allow money to work for you. That's what is important. Niyayithola abantu abasekani. So, ngicela ukubuza phakathi kwethu, bakhona bake batshala imali kwi-portfolio ethile mhlawumbe yabona i-portfolio efana no-TVI no yabo into ethi ayifane nabo-KP no-QZ something. Ikhona nje into enjalo yakwehlela yabona waskemeka ngephutha yakuyenzeka nje into enjalo empilweni yakho. Mani nje ungathi ngashayeka mani 40,000. Akubi kakhulu. Omunye ngathini nje engathini. I'm just asking guys. Wawuzama nawe? No. Ngicela ukuchaza wesikhonyana kuzobuya kuphindile. Zwana indlela usho ngayo ukuthi kuphindile. Kodwa nawe mawubuyela futhi esikhonyaneni naso sokwenza njani? Sokuphinda. Angeke ngenze example nje ngo-40,000 wakho. Owalahleka ngephutha. Ngoba imali bakithi ngisho umuntu efa kafi nayo. Umsebenzi wemali iyazala. Money grows. U-40,000 in a space of 22 years is like it can grow at a compound interest of 15%. It can grow up to 1.1 million, almost 1.2. That is a 40,000 once off. So ngifuna ukuthi in the next 10 to 20 years mawuhlangana nemali yakho emgaqweni usho ukuthi 40,000 noma usuwakhula kangaka because imali yenze njani iyakhula. That is another element you need to understand. So uma utshala kuma-unit trust, the minimum you can actually invest start from how much? Start from 500. That's the minimum you can utilize. From as little as 500. So as KCT, you have a lump sum, you just want to do 500. To make an example, let's say for 20 years, and it's just 500, that doesn't even increase. So this is, if we look at like 20 years, 500 every month, and it stays as how much? As 500. By annualized return of, let's say, 12%. The performance of my unit trust can revolve between 11, 12% to 17% most of the time. When the economy is bad, it can pay around 11, 12%, of which is not bad. So on average, 500 rand invested every month can grow up to 583,000. In how many years? 20 years. You get that point. Ngicela ukubuza-ke, ukhona nje ongasho ukuthi namhla umhla ka-29 ngihole ngomhla ka-25, but kule 500 I cannot account for. Angiyazi ukuthi ngiyenzeni. Khona uma wami team loyo. Siyafunda ne? Angigadli futhi angikondile ukwenza ufine guilt. We are just learning. Lento nje into ebengivele ngizoyifundisa. Wena ngiyayiqondanela nje ukuthi uyaphetha. And kulokho senze njani? Siyafundisana. So, ngicela ulethele u500 times 12 malini per year. Bese uthi 6,000 times 20 malini leyo? 120. But after 20 years, when you invest 120, but portfolio yakho by virtue of probability in maybe 583. So this all other monies is an interest and capital growth, or what we call profit, based on what we call compound interest. Uyakhumbula ngithi masikhuluma nge-power of compound interest. For instance, uma ngithi 2 bese ngithi 4 masibale compound interest. Unshele 6 sithini baba umphuthi? Kanjalo. Wena nje baba untshele mfundisi wami ubhede kakhulu. Kodwa ngithanda indlela obhede ngayo, ubhede ngokuzethemba. At least ikhona i-positive attribute kulo geja kwakho. Asike sicalculate i-compound interest. Masithi 2, sithi 4 bese sithini? 6-1. Bese sithini? Yeah, that is the power of compound interest. That is why you can purchase an item at a high purchase value. It costs like 4,000, you end up paying 11,000 because of compound interest working against. Are you learning something? So where does this all money comes from? It comes from the power of compound interest. You buy it, you pay it off in 20 years, you end up paying double the amount of the property in the first place because of what? Compound interest working against you. We were doing property calculations yesterday. Do you still remember that? Okay? So, all you need to do, give yourself a perspective of a longer term and say, as long as I receive an income, I will set aside a certain amount. Then I will invest, or I will send it into the future so that the same will see the future. Okay? Because we have a problem of people who cannot retire comfortably because they didn't access this information accordingly. Okay? So let's say you are putting together a lump sum of 50,000. In 20 years, your 50,000 can actually be like 925,000. So let me talk to young people who are still get so many opportunities of working. Manikala nina, you are earning far better than iholo lokuqala lika mama wakho. Expensive in terms of your investing. Before you rush for his mortgage nkulu. Okay? Be offensive in what? In your investing. Invest a massive 50,000 and say, leave it there to grow based on what? Compound interest. 5, 15 years, 20 years later, you will be thanking yourself. We together on that one. So let's talk about 1,000 rand. Then we make it. So, okay, actually this was just a 50,000. Let's say you are investing 1,000 for the next 20 years, just 1,000 rand. Kuma unit trust. After 20 years, is what we say in 1.1 million. So if we are 40 and you start now to invest in a very performing unit trust like these ones, in age 60 we have an additional million rand. Someone will say, when it's about 10 million izobe selling anawo la money. Yebo, kodwa still izobe beating inflation. Current inflation is 5.8%, ne? And if we screw a benchmark of an analyzed 12% return, it means we are still beating inflation by 6% every year. So it will still mean something.